I saw this this article on the internet, and it was about gun possession and your landlord. And for the most part, in certain areas, in certain states, because the government does leave it up to the states, there's some landlords that can actually tell you that they don't want any guns in their property, and if you're living in that on that property, then you have to abide by that. Now, again, they need to present it to you when you're signing the lease and all that. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that the landlord has the right to take away the Second Amendment, because you are on their property, you're not on your own property, and so they call the shots. In certain states, there's other states where they'll say, like, you know what, the landlord doesn't have that right
to take that away.
Yeah, to take that away from you. But there are states that allow the landlord to have that right. So if I'm renting out a house and I don't want somebody there, with a gun, I can definitely, put it on the agreement, and I can keep people away that are pro-gun. I mean, obviously, somebody like that would be anti-gun. I'm assuming.
I can see both sides. I can see, like, on one hand, it's like, if it's your property, it's your property. You can make your own rules. If someone is, like, in your home, that's your property. If you don't want them to have a gun, you don't want them to have alcohol, you don't want them to have whatever the case may be, it's your property, and it's your, you say so, Yeah. It's up to you.
And so on that, I totally agree. It's your property, right?
But on the other hand, it is the Second Amendment, and it is, whatever your stance may be, as of now, it is what it is, and it's the Second Amendment, and everyone has the right to bear arms. So it's like on both sides of the argument, I can see where people would come from.
But that leads to, like, a brain teaser here as far as government housing, like public housing, like, because that's government run.
Okay,
but you can't have weapon. Like, when I used to work there, I think we had an issue one or two times where they called out the cops because somebody had a firearm on them. So the way it goes about it is they had to present I forget what it's called, reasonable regulations as far as, like, why they would need it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they weren't allowed to have it like in public areas, like, as far as, like, you couldn't have it, like, at the park, because most housing authorities have, like, a park or, like, areas like that. You can't have it in any public area. It has to be in your home.
It has to stay in your home.
Yeah, unless you're going to your car and then traveling out.
Sure, but they would allow people to have a handgun or to have guns inside the public housing.
Yes, as far as, like, what they deem reasonable.
Yeah, I read here, and again, I saw this on Google, and it said whenever the government is involved and not a landowner, but a government agency is, then that constitutional amendment has to be respected. So basically, it's, if the government is involved, public housing, we all know that the government is involved. Mm-hmm. They have to respect the Second Amendment. So for the most part, in public housing rules, it is allowed. Yeah, you're good. Which is kind of like, it's surprising to me. I thought it was going to be the other way around, because I don't know. I think of government officials and all that, and a lot of them are I don't want to say anti-Second Amendment, but maybe anti-gun.
But it's still like the Second Amendment as far as,
sure,
like, the government has to abide by it.
So they have to abide by it. Exactly. It's when it's a privately owned apartment complex or a home that the guy has more leeway, and he can say, you know what, I don't like guns, and I don't want anybody living in my house with a gun. Doesn't matter if you're paying me rent or not. I don't want them there.
That's where, like, Section 8 housing comes in, as far as like, his public housing split into two, which is, like, public housing run by the government, and then Section 8, which is say I'm the government, Dan's the renter.
Sure, you help him out.
Landlord,
yeah,
we pay him.
Exactly.
So, like, in those situations, we would have, like, sticky subjects, as far as, like, some landlords wouldn't allow certain renters to have weapons. So then we would have to find other renters that would allow.
Okay, so but it is the landlord's call, though.
In that way, yes.
In a Section 8,
the government doesn't own it. The government's just providing funding for it.
All right. So yeah.
I think it's like as far as, like, the private side goes, I think it's a little bit of, like, a gray area, because, like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, it is up to the landowner, like the property owner, isn't it? So I mean,
I totally agree. And I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. You leave it up to the property owner. I think that's very. It's you know, it kind of has that libertarian feel to it, where it's like, this is my property and I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if I'm going to rent it out to that guy and I don't want him to watch cartoons at Saturday morning, whatever, then those are his rules, man.
Yeah.
You know, and
that's a little ridiculous.
of course, man. But I'm trying to
Saturday cartoon.
I'm trying to be ridiculous
you're
just so that I
painting
can
a picture.
I'm trying to paint a picture here, but it is what it is, man. And so I'm fine with that. I just, for me, obviously, if I owned apartments, I wouldn't care for that. It's like, and Texas, it's funny. In Texas, it can go either way. The state doesn't give the landowner the right, but it also doesn't take away the right as well. So in Texas, it's kind of like
a gray area.
It's kind of like a gray area, which I don't know how I feel about that, but
I mean, if you were a renter, would you want to know if you're? I mean, my bad. If you're a landlord,
no, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care because what is it? 70% of the people own guns. So for me, it would probably hurt me if I go out there and I say, you know what, I'm not going to allow people. Number one, when you're a landlord, you're trying to get people to rent from you. Yeah. And if 70% of the people out there own guns, and it could be even higher
in the market.
Yeah, then you're just hurting yourself.
See, I'd be on like the side of if I was the landlord and I was renting out my property, I would allow people to have their weapons, but I'd still like to know just in case like I'd like to know if they have their weapons so I can do like my own research on like what this guy, like if he has any sort of like background, what has he done or what, like, cause like at the end of the day, I mean, you're not necessarily, or maybe I shouldn't speak on that cause I'm not really too sure, but I don't know if you're liable for like any damages that they might have done depending on like the agreement. So like if someone like is getting drunk, if like they have a history of being a drunk, but they don't have any felonies or anything like that, and they can own a handgun, then I'm like, well, should I really be trusting this guy to, you know, be an alcoholic while owning firearms in my property? Like, I don't want to be liable for any like sort of damages and stuff like that.
And you have a point, man. For me, it's like, if I ask them, are they going to be honest with me? Right.
That's
first and foremost.
Thing, yeah.
And you can include that in the agreement. Like if like you can have it on like a legal document. Like if you don't like, you know, if you don't bring up or if you aren't truthful with like the firearms that you own.
Yeah, I can always say no. And
it's not like you're taking that away from them. It's not like it's like from a landlord perspective, I just want to know.
Sure. Of
course.
I'm
not going to be like, you have 3 guns, you have 4 guns, you can't live here. I'm just like, for my, you know, liability,
yeah, you want to know if that guy has a gun or not. I think it also depends on how you do it, whether it's while you're interviewing them or maybe after the fact when you just sit down and get to know the guy and you just go out there and say, hey, you know, you just start small talk. You're going to know of the guy. Hey, man, how do you feel about, you know, do you have a CHO? Because I have a CHO. Yeah, I have one. Right there, you already know. Yeah. I think people will be more honest with you if it's done outside the office area. Because you said that you're not going to keep people from renting if they do have a gun.
Yeah.
So it's not a matter of should I let them be a tenant or not. It's just you're curious because you want to know who's there and who has a gun, right?
And I want to know like what to expect as far as like any possible damage, any sort of liabilities and stuff like that.
Exactly. So I think those things, I think it's fine. I just think that if you do it at the desk when you're interviewing them, they may lie to you.
I feel like it's the whole thing with like when you check if you have a pet or not. It's the same concept.
Yeah, but see, like if
but it's harder to hide a pet, man.
That's like another thing. Like in the contracts, they'll often have, you know, like you're not allowed to have pets, or you have to have a pet. Sorry, not you have to have a pet. Like you have to have a dog if you want to live here. No, like you're not allowed to have a pet, or if you do have a pet, you have to pay a deposit or something like that.
I never did either.
But did you have pets?
Yes.
Did you sign the contract?
Yes.
Did it say that you were or were not allowed to have pets?
Correct.
If they did a checkup, then that'd be grounds for eviction.
I would have been grounds for eviction.
Okay,
not getting my deposit.
I've rented apartments before, but it's been a long while. So people do actually lie about pets.
I do. I have.
Sure. What are we talking about? Are we talking about lizards or are we talking about dogs?
Just anything in general. Any sort of pet.
How can you hide a dog, man? My dog barks when they ring the doorbell.
My dog's like a ninja.
But like that's the thing, it's in the contract. So if you find out that you are lying, it's like just like a legal standpoint. Like
yeah, but if I find out that someone's lying that oh, you said you didn't have a gun, and now I know that you do have a gun. I'm not going to evict the guy.
Well, people do that for animals.
Unless I'm a landlord that says, hey, you know what? I don't want any guns here.
Or maybe it's not even, sorry to interrupt, go ahead.
No. If I'm a landlord and I say I don't want any guns, and then I find out later that you are carrying guns, then fine, I get that. But if I don't care either way, and then later I find out, I'm not going to evict them on it. Now, a dog is different because, you know,
or any sort of pet though.
Yeah, pets, man. Yeah, not just dogs, but just pets.
Yeah.
They do damage, man. I mean, the only way a gun's going to do damage is if you're stopping someone from threatening you inside your apartment, or you clean the gun and it goes off accidentally.
Why would it be loaded? No, I'm just joking.
Well, no, of course I know, but it happens, right?
But see, that's what I'm saying.
You're gonna get that
that's
person.
what I'm saying.
So I understand I think I saw a TV show once a long time ago where a guy was cleaning the gun goes off, you know, and kills the guy in the apartment next door. Yeah.
So
and it was, I think it was a whole CSI Miami investigation because they found a guy dead with a bullet hole and they didn't know where it was coming from, and they couldn't find the bullet hole because it was behind, I don't know, it was weird. It was one of those things. But I get it.
Like really bad detectives.
There was something else. It was actually pretty cool. I just can't remember, but it was like a twisted plot. I don't know. It was weird, but it was cool. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So like,
something like that could happen.
Yeah. So, and maybe not even evict
Those
them.
are liabilities though. And I'm sure if you have insurance.
Yeah. But I'm not saying like, maybe if you find out that, you know, they have guns in the apartment, maybe you don't have to evict them, but like just for, I guess, for signing the contract and like not being truthful, like a fine.
I get that.
And like don't,
or you just don't give them the deposit back.
Yeah,
the way that dogs are.
Of course,
just
man.
something like that.
Look, man, you told me you didn't have a gun. Now I find out that you do have a gun. I'm not going to evict you, but you're not going to.
Yeah, but in the contract you said, you know, this is like for me, like I need to know like the liability and all this mumbo jumbo, legal mumbo, insert legal mumbo jumbo. Blah, blah, blah.
but this is all because you're inquisitive about the fact that they have a gun or not. That's why for me it's like I don't care, dude. If you do, if you don't.
It's not even like that. I'm like I'm not like trying to intrude and be like I need to know if you have a gun or not because I want to know. I'm saying like from like a legal standpoint, I don't want to have to like you were saying, like if they're cleaning the gun and it goes off,
or he gets drunk, man, and he's there practicing his drawing.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's drunk or he's violent or something like that.
Are you even allowed to say that though? Because then thinking about it from the stance of like discrimination, like what if, I don't know, like what if I'm a cop and I have to have a gun on me?
But that's what I'm saying. I'm not like, it's not necessarily that I'm going to, you know, discriminate on whether you have a gun or not. It's like, if it's like,
I don't think there's a there's a law in discrimination on guns.
But that's
like,
what I'm saying.
Employment though, like as far as your employment, like that's a restriction.
I'm saying like, if you have a gun, it's not that I'm going to deny you housing because you have a gun. It's that for my own liability purposes, I need to know if you have a gun, if you want to live on my property. I'm not going to deny you living on my property if you have a gun, because in my opinion, you have the right to have a gun.
Correct.
So I'm not going to deny you that right if you want to live on my property. Just for my own legal purposes, I need to know if you own a gun.
What if I'm FBI, bro? Secret Service.
Then yeah, you can
tell you.
It doesn't. You don't have to tell me where you work as long as you tell me you own a gun.
No, that's fine. Look, I get you. I have a friend of mine. He used to own a record service, and he had to get insurance for the record, right? Here in Texas, obviously, we live in a state where it's very gun friendly. But the insurance on the record, it said plain as day. It said that they couldn't carry weapons inside the truck, right? They couldn't carry a firearm inside the truck. That's what the insurance claimed, or that's what the insurance said. So my friend told his driver, which he had a CHL, his driver, right? His employee had a CHL. He told him, I'm sorry, man, you're not going to be able to carry a gun because the insurance plainly states that anybody that's driving the vehicle cannot have a weapon, or there can't be a weapon inside the vehicle. And I'm thinking, dude, you're a record service. These guys go in there, they're repo men.
Yeah.
They deal with, with people.
Aggressive people,
right? Or it can
property. Yeah.
Exactly. It can turn into something aggressive.
But see, that's another liability issue, because what if you're like hiring someone who's quick to snap, they have a weapon on them, and one thing leads to another.
I understand.
They instantly shoot him. Then that guy and the employer is responsible.
And you're basing all of this on those concerns, right?
That's what I'm saying.
That's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I totally agree.
I'm
just saying that I don't care, right? Unless my insurance policy on my apartment complex says, hey man, you can't have anybody in there with a gun, then all right, then I am going to care.
Yeah.
But if there's nothing,
Like if there's no legal limitations.
yeah, if there's no legal limitations, I mean, I'm not going to care. But again, you can care, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's the conversation that we were having yesterday, where
It's your right to carry.
it's your right to carry. If I go to my aunt's house, do I conceal carry at my aunt's house?
Yeah.
I mean, my aunt knows that I own Bravo Concealment, right? So she's probably going to think, yeah, Rene's going to have his gun and he's going to be concealed carrying. But what if my aunt doesn't want me there? Or not that she doesn't want me there, because my aunt loves me.
I was about to say, then it sounds like you got some issues.
I know,
man.
right? I got a
What do
bill.
you- Yeah.